Good evening. Tonight I'm going to read you the story of Nehemiah. This is a story of restoration, rebuilding, and renewal. Nehemiah, a cupbearer to the king of Persia, finds himself called to restore the broken walls in his home city of Jerusalem. He and his people are in exile, and Nehemiah courageously approaches the king Artaxerxes, asking for resources and permission to be released to rebuild the walls. Nehemiah is a living example to all leaders today of how to rebuild broken places and to respond to the need in front of us with courage, strategy, and resilience. As we begin today's story in the book of Nehemiah, I encourage you to settle into your bed, slowly allow your head to sink deep into your pillow, and let your body fully relax. Become aware of your body, any aches, pains, or tension. Take a deep breath in and hold it momentarily before exhaling. Remain aware of how your body feels. Release the tension and stress in your body and reflect on your day. Allow yourself the space to let go of any difficult conversations or situations you have experienced, any broken places in your life that need restoring, difficult scenarios or relationships, the tasks that lie before you tomorrow, and the people that have expectations of you. Tomorrow is another day, and it will have new mercies all of its own. Mercies that God will endow upon you when you awake. Right now, the only thing that matters is this moment. While you are resting, God is still working. Relinquish control of any loose ends to Him and any responsibility that you feel. God is always present. He will never leave you nor forsake you. He is with you now, and you can say, like Jacob, "Surely the Lord is in this place." As you take another breath, Christ is watching over you, covering, protecting, and nurturing you as you sleep. Remain aware of your body as your eyes close and breathe slowly. Now let your mind drift to another place and another time. We are in the Persian city of Susa in the year 444 BC. Times are tough. Famine and barrenness defines, describes, and depicts the Jewish people. 70 years of exile in Babylon. Babylon, the superpower of the day. Israel, the underdog that has been led away, has long forgotten her homeland, and now every smell, every experience, every environment is laced and littered with the reminder that God did not deliver them, and they are in a far country, away from their friends, away from their family, away from their holy city, isolated, separated, a consecrated people, completely conquered by the rule and reign of their oppressors. They would wake up and be forced to acclimatize to the customs and traditions of the people that held them captive. They were indoctrinated into the lifestyle and living of people that forced them to forget where they came from and everything they have ever known. It is with this backdrop that we meet Nehemiah, son of Hakaliah. It was the month of Kislev in the 20th year. At the time, Nehemiah was in the palace complex at Susa. He was doing his everyday tasks and activities, serving the king on staff as cupbearer. Little did he know that this day would be like none other, a defining moment and a defining experience. Suddenly, Hanani, one of Nehemiah's brothers, who he had not seen since Nehemiah's people were taken into captivity, had just arrived from Judah with some fellow Jews. These would have been Nehemiah's friends, families, and loved ones, the people he would have grown up with, going to synagogue together, memorizing the Torah, learning the customs and traditions of their ancestors. As Nehemiah is reintroduced and reconciled to his family, Nehemiah cannot help but ask them about the conditions among his people, the Jews. He wanted to know who had survived the exile and what was taking place in Jerusalem, the place Jewish people believed heaven met earth. They responded to Nehemiah, Those who survived the exile and captivity are back in Jerusalem and are in great trouble and disgrace. The wall of Jerusalem is broken down and its gates have been burned with fire. Such news was disgusting to Nehemiah. It was demeaning and derogatory. All Nehemiah could do was sit down and weep. As he thought about his past, his ancestors, and his history, Nehemiah could do nothing but lament and grieve. For some days he mourned and even fasted before God, asking for and seeking answers. Nehemiah prayed to God and acknowledged how awesome God is and how God had promised him to be faithful to his people by keeping a covenant of love with those who loved him, and asked God's ear to be attentive and his eyes to be open to the pain of Nehemiah. Nehemiah would not relent. Night and day, he got on his knees, crying out for God to deliver his people. Nehemiah confessed his own sins as well as the sins of his ancestors for the past disobedience and pain that they had caused by rebelling against God. Nehemiah wanted desperately for God to hear his prayers and requests. Nehemiah did this because he remembered the instruction previously given to Moses. He said to Moses if he was faithful, then God would restore the exiled people and gather them from captivity, the very place Nehemiah and his people had been for over 70 years, and promised to bring them back to Jerusalem and place them there forever. Nehemiah knew that it would take God answering his prayer and a miraculous work to be able to do something about what he had heard from his brother. The walls being destroyed was a big job, and the king was responsible for taking the Jewish people and keeping them in captivity. Only a miracle could allow Nehemiah to be granted permission and favor to leave the king's court and service and rebuild the Jerusalem walls.